The third question today is, what is the sin of gluttony, and how can I know if I have or am committing it? And I just think this is first of all, I just appreciate your question so very much. First of all, I'm looking up a scripture right quick. The Bible talks about sin being glutton, or talks about gluttony being a sin. I wanted to give you a specific verse. No, I'm not finding what I'm wanting to look for. Okay, sorry about that. But your question is what exactly is the sin of gluttony, and how can I know if I have it or if I'm committing it? Well, first of all, often when we think about gluttony, we think about the excess of food. But really, I think that gluttony could be excess of anything. Excess of wealth could be gluttony. Excess of power. And then, of course, excess of food. And I really think that this is perhaps the purpose of your question is, what is the sin of gluttony? Well, as it relates to food, it's an overfixation of food. It's an overindulgence of food. Especially the Bible condemned gluttony because there were so many poor people around. Of course, it was a sin to overindulge in food when there are so many other people out there in the world who are poor and who are lacking food. And so I think that, gluttony is really the overindulgence of anything, which includes food. How do you know whether or not you have it or if you're committing it? I would just say, are you overly fixated? If in your situation, is it food? Are you overly fixated on food? Are you relying upon food to meet emotional need? And then I think that these are all signs of gluttony. A lot of time, one of the things about gluttony is it's hard to hide because sometimes it presents itself through obesity. And so I would just say, and not always the case, and I wouldn't say that I'm not a medical doctor. I don't want to say that all people who are obese, and there's different levels of that, are committing the sin of gluttony. Maybe they have some type of medical problem. And so I don't want to throw everyone under the bus, so please hear me say that. But I think if you're overly fixated on food, I think if you're overeating, especially I think if you are, if you have an eating disorder like anorexia or so forth, you purge after you eat, these are all signs of gluttony. And if you're bored and all you can do is think about getting something to eat, then I think that too would be a sign of gluttony. But again, it's not just focused on food. It's an overindulgence of anything. It could be wealth or power or even clothes for that matter. And so these are all things that we need to be careful of. But specifically, I think in relation to your question, it seems to be maybe food. And I don't know who asked this, so don't think I'm picking on you. I don't know who asked that question. But usually when people ask about gluttony, that's the sense in which they ask it. And so how do you know if you have it? Well, are you overly fixated on food? Do you rely upon food to meet emotional need? And how do you know if you're committing it? Well, look at your daily diet. And I think that'll be a good indication. Look at your overall health. That'll be a good indication as well.